The bottom half of the draw was thrown wide open this morning following the shock defeat of Norman Fletcher by the relatively unknown Alan Jones. Fletcher, one of the big pre-tournament favourites. So the second round lines up like this. The pick of the top half live momentarily. That's Andy Buckley against the defending champion Brian Duncan. Ian Rigby getting backed very strongly incidentally this afternoon. The cut-off point Broadhurst against David Copeland before we drop into the bottom half. And then it's take your pick time. Irene Reardon perhaps the only lady left in. A lot of money going on Bob Crawshaw. Only one first round game incomplete as far as you at home are concerned. That's Glyn Cookson against Mark Britton. Here's the finish to it.
So Glyn Cookson, all but 13.
And from 13-10 down, and he's built a very good break, all on this mark. Britton did the damage, shorter favourite marks, but Cookson really has gone for the corners, played them as well as anybody. It's a high quality game.
He had 3 doubles in that run of 10.
Yes, Britton's had a few doubles, hasn't he, going for the shorter ones. But you just get the feeling that he's been having to overreach at his game to match Cookson on these lengths.
Cookson a very good win over John Taylor in the Goodyear Open at Bunbury to qualify for this tournament. Mark Britton beating Steve Copeland in the Klondike to qualify. And to make his exit now from the tournament, Glyn Cookson, a comeback from 10-13 down to go out 21-13 into the second round. Cookie is cooking with gas.
Yes, and the Bass Masters is cooking with gas as well. Terrific tournament. Welcome back to the Rakes Hall Hotel here in Blackpool. Glyn Cookson through the awkward first round stage and now one of the last 16, Roy Armstrong. And you've got to say about Glyn, still looking for that elusive first televised victory.
Yes, all the players know how good Glyn is. He's mighty consistent. I would say he's in the top 6 of the players, but he's not won a major. But the bottom half, it's absolutely wide open. Glyn could come very close now.
And Ian Rigby is being talked about around the green by a lot of the older players as someone who's adjusted well to this green here.
Yes, Ian's a very steady player, won the TPA tournament on this green last year, and he is quite an impressive player. One of the impressive players. Again, he hasn't come through to win a major.
Now, what the players have really got to adjust to this afternoon is a much quicker green, Roy, is that right? Because the wind which affected Norman Fletcher badly, but since then the sun's been out, it's really quite warm now out there, and it's so much quicker than it was this morning.
Yes, just after the lunch break, as you rightly said, the sun came out, and watching the balls go, I think it's about 2 yards faster, and it'll affect the green, especially down the edges. The edges will be quite sharp now.
Well, the main man is out there, Roy. Brian Duncan playing in yellow this afternoon. Now he played sluggishly yesterday against Mike Knowles. Still managed to win the match, of course. But do you think the quicker pace will suit him? Will he be happier out there today, basically?
Well, the one thing that he doesn't want, he's a bit like Norman Fletcher, he doesn't want excessive wind. But you know, once Brian gets over that first game, we've heard it all before, he doesn't particularly like the green, we've seen it all before, he's going to be very, very difficult to beat now. I still think he'll be up against some stern tests, and Andy Buckley, when he was talking to John Bancroft this morning, was saying he's going to give it his best shot and really have a go at Brian. And I'm sure that's the thing to do, because so many people have a lot of nerves against him and stand off and let Brian play. And if you let Brian dominate the game, you're a goner.
Okay, well, let's have a look at Andy Buckley. You've got to say the unmistakable Andy Buckley because of the ponytail. But his father, Stuart, who you know so well, what do you think he'll have told his son about how to play Duncan? What's the game plan? What should it be?
Well, I think the dangerous thing to do with Brian, the tendency is for people to change their normal game, and they'll tend to play a short game against Brian, and that's what he loves, because they then play balls close to the jack and he's able to get at them. The actual thing to do with Brian is to go as far as you can with him, not to be taken off your normal game. And Andy Buckley's game is 40 yards, and that's what he should do. And I'm sure his dad Stuart has told him to play his ordinary game, play his own game.
Just finally, Roy, the one thing, and maybe vital thing, he is not in awe of Duncan, and he's leading early doors.
That's right, yes, that's again, I think Andy's got a good attitude. He's still learning the game, but I think Andy's got a big future in the game.
Okay, well, let's move over to the commentary box now and join, well, one person who's got a big future in the game, a big presence at the moment as well, former Bassmasters champion, double winner, John Bancroft, who's alongside Hugh Johns.
Thank you, Alton. And immediately, let's get a comment from you, John, as to your feelings, as Roy has just said, about the speed of the green as it is now.
Well, the green probably has quickened up a couple of yards during the lunchtime period, but it's still pushy, and I would tend to think that's going to suit Brian a little bit rather than more than Andy, who's used to playing on quite a quick running green around the Oldham area.
Well, Andy is showing no signs of nerves out there. Oh, that's a cracking ball. That's a bruiser to beat. Brian having a run after his ball. He's another one down. So, 5 ends of bowls completed, and 5-1, Andy Buckley leads. Andy Buckley not exactly playing the game plan that was perhaps forecast, but he's putting pressure on the great man Brian Duncan. Brian is 15-18 inches short, but that's the counting bowl at this precise moment. The one Andy's got to beat. Might just do it. Might just do it. Yes! Can that come back from there? The answer is no. And that's another one for Andy Buckley. Well, John, this is a cracking start for Andy Buckley.
This will be just the start that Andy was looking for, really. I mean, whenever you're playing Brian, you're desperate to get off to a good start because, as Roy was mentioning earlier, he can dominate the game if he gets going in the corners, and as far as Andy's concerned, that would be the end of game before it even started. So Andy's setting the pace, he's dictating where he wants to play. He's obviously decided that he's going to play across the green to start with and try and keep Brian out of the corners. If Brian's going to get in anywhere, he's going to have 2 throws to get the jack into the corners, which I think's a wise tactic, really.
Well, of course, Brian had his problems in the first round with Mike Knowles, and he was very, very thankful to get out of that one the way he did. 21-19, because Mike had the winning of it at one point. Andy, of course, kept his nerve to take out one of the very fancied players, Mike Leach, in the first round. Oh dear, Brian Duncan. That is not what we expected. And that's 2 for Andy Buckley. Well, this is a substantial lead, 8-1. And that's a very thoughtful looking Brian Duncan out there. Well, I'm just wondering what's going through his mind. His doubles partner, his great pal, Norman Fletcher, went out this morning. Is he going out this afternoon, John?
Well, maybe Norman's been talking to him, and that attitude rubbed off him. He looks very down in the dumps. He doesn't look up for it at all. He seems to me to keep putting his balls too back of the jack. He keeps expecting them to be pegging, and they're obviously not doing. He's to back again this time. He doesn't seem to be putting his balls on the road at all.
Well, that's a pressure bowl lead that Andy Buckley put up there. You can't get at it because it's just behind the jack. Is he going to couple up? Looks tidy. No, it's gone out. Terry Ashcroft, the referee, signalling that it's just 1 against Brian Duncan at the moment. Unlucky Brian. 1 for Andy Buckley. And as Andy soars into a 9-1 lead, good time to go down and see what his dad, Stuart, thinks about it. He's talking to Alistair Mann.
Well, it couldn't really be going any better than this at the moment.
He's doing very well. I've just got my fingers crossed he keeps it up. I think I'm more nervous than he is. It's a game of 21 up, so we'll just hope for the best.
I don't think he could have been more relaxed than his approach to this game, could he really?
He's a pretty laid-back character. He controls emotions very well. Yeah.
Were you confident as he was?
Optimistic. Yeah.
Well, there's certain optimism. Is there a certain game plan he's got, or is he just happy
No,
to...
he's just going to try and put him near the jack, I think. He can't kid Brian Duncan, he's a master.
No better theory than that. Get near the jack. Back to you, Hugh.
Well, he's certainly getting near the jack, Ali. Look at this. The lead was brilliant. And something here, it's interesting that Brian Duncan, who's now in the 13th Bassmasters, which is the total of them, he's won it 4 times. He's been knocked out in the first round 6 times, but he's only been knocked out in the second round once. That by Alan Broadhurst back in '89. Usually if he gets through the first round he zooms on towards the final, but it's not looking like that at the moment. Roy Armson's now joined me. What are your feelings about it at the moment?
Well, it's quite amazing the way Andy's playing. He's settled down immediately, and as John was saying, he's laid back, but at the same time his concentration is tremendous, and there's no doubt about it. The green is a lot faster. He's playing finger peg, just about 28 yards on one side of the crown, and his leading has been immaculate.
Well, let's see where he delivers this one. The road looks very, very tidy. The weight, well, could do with a bit more. But it's certainly about time that Brian Duncan started to impress his presence on this match. Well, I think that stayed out. So the short bowl is winning it. Andy wanting about an extra 2 feet of running on this bowl. And he's got it. That's a beautiful piece of inspired work, just putting that extra piece of running into the second bowl. He corrected perfectly, John.
Yeah, he's obviously just feeling the length very well. I'm surprised.
Watch out.
Oh, that's a good strike from Brian.
Well knocked.
That was a good hit for Brian. He needed to count this end, really. It's getting to the stage where the game was going beyond him, really. But I'm surprised the last couple of ends he has had opportunity to strike, and Brian normally doesn't hesitate and comes right through, but the last 2 ends he's just played control weight, but that time I think he's done the right thing and cleared them all off.
And Brian Duncan playing thumb peg into the corner. What he has to remember, he has to go right over the crown. This is an 11-inch crown, and it's what we call a spread crown. It's all over that area there, and everywhere from every corner it's uphill. You have to get over the crown and then down towards the jack.
Well, Brian's lead, not what he would have wanted. And Andy would have been grateful to have made a full contact with the block then. As it is, he's run straight throughout the back. It's a question of whether Brian can get back now from there. No, that's merely coupled up with his first one. It's there to be won. It's there to be won. Now, Andy, have you got the weight? Have you got the right correction? Yes, you have. No doubt about that. 1 for certain. 2 it is. 2 it is. So 12-2, Andy Buckley is taking the great man apart. We have to leave it just for a moment or two, but this Excitement will be continuing when you come back to us.
Oh, you manage. Well, don't you know about child benefit? Benefit, child benefit. Yeah. When you go down the post office for your stamps, you hand over your book, she gives you the money. It's brilliant, you see. It comes straight to you, see. Dale, what are you doing there? Who's she? I don't know, he just met her, I think.
Stop that.
Drink it. Don't spit it out. Yeah, it. You've got all this to look forward to. Yeah, lovely.
You love the smell of fabric conditioner, but does it last on your laundry?
Mine does. Now I've changed to New Lenore Plus. My washing stays fresh for up to 5 days.
New Lenore Plus has time-release freshness. Freshness that's released slowly. Day after day after day.
This is fresh. I've just put it out, but I washed it 5 days ago.
With New Lenore Plus, the freshness stays for up to 5 days.
Try new Polygrip Ultra, specially formulated so just a thin layer holds dentures stronger, lasts longer than ever. We challenged denture-wearing actors to put it to the test.
I did, and it really makes a difference.
Without it, I'd have had to say no.
Traffic, no end of problems. Apples, no problem for me.
New Polygrip Ultra. Try the challenge for yourself and feel the difference.
Welcome to Le Mans, the 24-hour race. Handy-free fueling on Barney's breakfast timers. Topped up with vitamins and minerals he's fit for the day. And what's he filling up with now? Yes, it's Barney's lunch timers. A few laps later, and he's in for the Barney's tea timers. Well into the ninth day race, and the Barney's team take it.
As you decide where to secure your savings for the future, consider entrusting it with NPI, because NPI are already looking after £7 billion and specialise in one thing. As time goes by, you'll be glad you chose NPI.
Well, while you've been away, they've each scored one more. And so Andy now leads by 10 chalks, 13-3. He's holding another one at this precise moment here and looks certain to pick up 2. No trouble at all. That's 2 more. 15-3. Well, Roy, this has turned the book upside down, hasn't it? What was the betting on the heat today?
Well, the betting on this heat, they were betting 2-1 on Brian Duncan. Have a bit of respect for Andy because he was only 6-4 against, but I just wonder if Brian Duncan's been drinking from the same pot as Norman Fletcher. I mean, he's playing just like Norman played this morning, isn't he? He's very, very lethargic.
John Bancroft, I mean, Brian is used in great tournaments like the Waterloo and that sort of thing of playing with a handicap, giving shots away, but he doesn't tend to give 12 shots away and still win it, does he?
I've seen him come back from further behind than this, but usually it's when he's feeling upbeat, obviously, but it's nothing to do with Brian, this. It's just the way Andy's playing. He's dominating the game. His leads are fantastic, and when he isn't playing good leads, he's coming in with his second ball every single time and playing a good ball. Brian's bang under pressure, and he doesn't seem as though he has got the feel at all, Brian, today. He's out of sorts, definitely. He just doesn't look like the Brian Duncan we all used to seeing.
Well, that was certainly an end that you would have bet money on Brian getting a single in, Roy.
Yes, I think one other factor that I've been watching is that the bowls that Brian's playing with are relatively new. I think this is only about the 4th time he's played with them. He's opted to go with these bowls. In point of fact, there's very little difference between the two players' bowls. Andy Buckley plays with 212 Lignum Vita and Brian Duncan's at about 211. But he isn't used to these bowls. His favourite ones have lost weight, and I think he's put them in the bin for the time being, but he might resurrect them after this game.
Well, there's another beautiful lead from Andy Buckley. Brian is not going to be there. Well, he's on for another 2 at this moment, unless Brian Duncan can do something about it. No, they're waving that one through. Good gracious me. Well, 2 more. Gives Andy Buckley 18 and Brian Duncan 3. And down alongside the green with Ali Mann is Robert Crawshaw, who has plenty of experience of this Bassmasters.
Well, can you believe what's going on out here? Absolutely phenomenal play by Andrew Buckley.
Well, yes, Andrew's absolutely playing the game of his life. No one in the wildest dreams would believe that Brian can be beaten by this much. I think it's a well-known fact that Brian doesn't particularly enjoy playing on the green, but he's totally out of sorts. But Andrew is playing absolutely fantastically.
Well, it certainly opens up the top half of the draw if this stays the way it is. Back to you, Hugh.
Well, it does indeed, Alistair, because the bottom half of the draw has been opened up with Norman Fletcher going out, and if the top man goes out of the top half of the draw, it's wide open for everybody. And the way Andy Buckley is playing at the moment, he looks as though he's got his eye on that trophy, the top prize, and quite capable of taking it. All right, this is only the second round, but he's doing the business down there. No, yet another end in which Brian failed to master it at all. Does the body language, John Bancroft, tell you that Brian has more or less hung up the white flag, that he's resigned to defeat now?
I don't think he's given up. I think in his heart of hearts he'll still be trying, but it's just so difficult for him to see him any way back from him in the game. Going back to what Roy was saying about his bowls, Brian's a great tinkerer with his bowls, and he often tunes them up and strengthens them and weakens them, and I know he did alter them on Wednesday morning, having had some practice, and the way he's not putting them on the road here, it wouldn't surprise me if he's altered them again, and it's just not paid off for him today. He's hardly put a bowl on the road at all during the game.
Well, Andy has got 1 in. He needs 2 for the game. That road looks a bit tidy. Well, that worked for him. He's holding game at the moment. This one has got to count for Brian Duncan. He's got to cut it down. I think he's bowled one. No! Flew through the gap. Out through the gap went the bowl. Out of the competition goes the champion, Brian Duncan. Totally destroyed by Andrew Buckley. And we're going to hear a lot more about this young man. Look into that crowd. They're up on their feet all around the green. The applause ringing in the ears of Andy Buckley. Superb victory. Absolutely destroyed the great man. 21-3, and Andy now is down there with Elton Wellesby.
Right, well, I don't know whether you know this, that is the biggest ever victory in the Bassmasters against the game's #1. What do you think of that?
Well, what can you say about that? I mean, it's a dream come true, isn't it? He's the best player there's ever been, the best player more than likely he's ever going to be, and obviously I'm delighted.
I mean, you said you were going to be confident,
yes.
I mean, but that was supreme confidence.
Yes. Well, it's all the practice that you put in pays dividends.
I mean, you got him on 1 mark, which and Brian just couldn't read it.
No, he was struggling for his length, and he was struggling with his line a little bit. His balls were just sticking out because he was just playing a yard up and that, you know. But no, I was very delighted with him again, very delighted.
You seem to adjust to the greater pace of the green this afternoon than Brian did.
Yes, I think it's speeded up a couple of yards in the last 2 hours with the sun on it. You know, it's gone a little bit faster. It's just suited my game, really.
And of course, the number of touches that you had as well were quite remarkable.
I wish I'd have had 2. I'd have had 500 quid in my pocket.
Can we just bring Brian in? Thanks for joining us, Brian. I know, if you can just move around a little bit so we can see you. Have you got a smile on? Can you manage one?
No. He played well, I played bad, that's life, isn't it?
He did play very well. I could give him full credit.
Well, he played well, but I never put him in under pressure. I mean, I led out here at second or third end, 2 a mile off. I came down here 2 a long way off. I mean, you can't play like that.
You couldn't. You just couldn't get close, could you?
Well, I finished up the latter half of the game trying to prop on balls, really, rather than playing to beat them, really. I had to just play reaches and hope I propped on something.
You realise you've made history twice, and I'm not taking the mickey. 4 times you've won it. That's a record. That's the biggest ever defeat by anyone in the Bassmasters.
That's all right, fair enough, isn't it? Doesn't matter, that's 5 records, isn't it?
I'd sooner have this record than having my record, put it that way.
Very
He's
true.
done everything in game, hasn't he?
Very true. Anyway, Brian, you'll be back. I'm sure you'll qualify somewhere along the line in the next 12 months.
I hope so. I mean, I didn't play. I struggled through yesterday. I mean, I was lucky to get through yesterday, so I'm not. I'm all right. I'm disappointed because I've only scored a few chalks, really. But I mean, it's a green that I don't expect to play well anyway, so I just forget it.
Could this chap go on and win?
If he plays like that, certainly can. I mean, he's played well, but having said that, a lot of times I've let him play because I haven't put him under any pressure.
You say?
He's not put me under pressure, really. When he's had chances, like when he's got in, he's not sent a lead, really, and you need to bang your leads on to get the pressure on.
Okay. Well, thanks very much indeed, Andy. Very well done indeed. Commiserations, Brian. Thanks for coming to talk to us. We'll see you again next year. That I'm certain of. Well, we've had quite a day here, haven't we? The favourite from the bottom half of the draw, Norman Fletcher, going out this morning. The favourite from the top half of the draw, the outright favourite for the Bassmasters, Brian Duncan, just going out. The heaviest defeat anyone has ever suffered in the 12-year history of this tournament. Quite remarkable, and we've got more bowls to come. Join us again.
The new Aquafresh Flex and Direct has a unique directable head for cleaning those hard-to-reach places. Let's test how good it is. First, the brushes tackle the ramp. How's that for cleaning? Next, the pipes. Clean through. Then into the slalom. Watch that head bend. And finally, the tomato test. That flexible neck is so much kinder to gums. The new Aquafresh Flex and Direct cleans brilliantly because it uses its head.
I want to be a schlur.
You know Dad is good on white, but did you know how good it is on price? Even compared to some shop's own brands. We asked people how they thought Dad's compared.
I definitely think the Daz would be more expensive than the shop's own brand.
A little bit more expensive. Daz would be a lot more expensive.
So what is the difference in price, Pat? Only 10 pence in some stores?
10 pence? Wow. No, I just thought it would have been a lot more.
10p is not a lot to get his clothes white.
Check it yourself against some shop's own brands. Daz whites cost less than you think.
Radian B Mineral Bath belongs to the comprehensive Radian B range. So not only can you relieve your rheumatic, muscular and general aches and pains with these pain-relieving products, but you can also treat yourself to a Radian B Mineral Bath and let the soothing effects of the warm water turn your aches into an ah.
Our accountant says...
It's madness. Sale prices and 2 years free credit? Impossible.
Not at DFS. Every settee is in the sale, and now with 2 years free credit. Every chair is in the sale, and with 2 years free credit. Every single sofa is in the sale, and with 2 years free credit. In fact, everything is in the sale, and all with no deposit 2 years free credit.
Sale prices and no deposit free credit? It's just got to stop.
Correct, but it ends this weekend at DFS.
Welcome back. We've just witnessed a match which will reverberate around the world of Crown Green Bowls. Andy Buckley, 21. The great Brian Duncan, just 3. The heaviest defeat in the history of the Bassmasters tournament. Bob Crawshaw with us. Of course, what that means, Bob, apart from anything else, is that unless you or Martin Gilpin, your next round opponent, go all the way and win the tournament, we are going to have a new champion this year.
Well, that's right, Elton. I just hope that one of us does go on to win it, especially me.
Are you still in shock after what you've seen out there this afternoon?
Well, it was an absolutely fantastic performance by Andrew. He totally dominated the game. I think Brian was completely out of sorts, but you can't take the feet away from Andrew at all. He was absolutely incredible out there.
A day of shocks. Fletcher going this morning, Duncan this afternoon.
Well, that's the world of bowls. I mean, everybody has his day and anybody can win this competition.
What about the way that the green has changed this afternoon? I mean, clearly Andy just judged it superbly, but he did hit a mark that Brian just could not get him off.
Well, Andrew's done well in the Talbot competition itself. He's played very well. He reached the final stages last year. He's totally happy with the green, so there was no reason why he couldn't have beaten him in the first place. It was big odds, Andrew, on the heat, to win the heat against Brian, and I'm sure there's a lot of punters out there who's won a few bob on this game.
Yes, quite a few heading to the bar, Bob. Thanks very much indeed. You get ready for your match. It's coming up a little later on. Now a match eagerly awaited here at the Rakes Hall Hotel. Steve Copeland against Ian Rigby, who's been backed by, amongst others, that very, very shrewd judge Arthur Murray. Now Rigby won here 12 months ago, so he's another one who knows the green. But he trails 12-10 to Copeland, the commentators Brian Brett and Hugh Johns.
So Ian Rigby sets this block down underneath the commentator position this time, deciding that he wants to perhaps play some corners now, having had some very short marks.
2-4.
There's a slightly more sheltered area of the green, although the stiff breeze will affect the running out in the middle. Good land, good delivery, holding 2. Steve hasn't put enough on that one. Pulled up way short. 2.
Rigby, 2.
So after 19 ends of bowls, nothing between them at all. (12-12) as Ian Rigby goes after a curly sort of a block. Thumb peg for the right-hander, finger peg for the left-handed Steve Copeland. Oh, that's never coming back.
Rigby's on third ball.
It's about length as much as anything here. If he can beat his own bowl. No, he won't. So Ian Rigby's got his nose in front.
Rigby, 1.
13-12. Ian Rigby. Now it held up the back end of its travel then, Brian.
Yes, he wasn't quite right, Hugh. I'm just wondering about difference in bowls. There's scarcely a difference. 2-12 for Rigby, 2-11 Copeland. They're both a little bit angry. They're just trying to judge the pace of the green and, more important, the strength of the wind. The sun is shining beautifully now, but it still is difficult. Just checking that Rigby might be on. It's level, isn't it?
Yeah. Rigby, we're talking about the bowls. Rigby uses wood bowls.
Yes.
While Steve Copeland goes for the plastic. Ah, that was a nice delivery. something of a target as Copeland trying to play through. Got something. of the jack, in the ditch, dead end. Nice controlled weight for that delivery, wasn't it?
Yes.
A fierce firing strike. Just good controlled push through. Kills the end. So, Ian Rigby, one in front.
He worked very hard for that one in front, Hugh, wasn't it? The 20th end before he actually took a lead. They have both been playing extremely well, considering the difficulties. Leading extremely well.
Follow the block exactly.
But for the left-hander, a bit more difficult. Right hand, left hand, not easy.
Needs to bend a lot. Thumb peg. Bias about to work now. Beauty. Beauty.
It's given him a lot to think about. Yes, he's going for it.
Controlled weight. Killed the last end. And we're coming hard for this one. Up over the top. Oh, look at that thing bounce. And a mile wide. $15-12 in Rigby in the driving seat. The man from Tarleton Moss near Preston. Winner of the Tetley Walnut this year to qualify. Steve Copeland, winner of the Kirkham Classic. And what a classic victory that was for him when he took out Manchester's David Chew in the final of that tournament. 21-1, would you believe? And they say that David Chew was lucky to get one.
He's a good bowler, David. I've seen him do well in the Isle of Man, that sort of thing. He's a good bowler. Ian Rigby, in fact, he was on the reserve list for winning the Tournament Players Association competition on this green.
Yes, he beat Peter Marrow.
From Wigan, yes. So 2 at the moment against Steve Copeland. So he needs a bit of running. The wind is gusting him. If it's in the right direction, it may just help him. It's not. It's 2.
Twos back to back. Gives Ian Rigby a 17-12 advantage. We've got the Met report saying that coastal regions around here experience winds of minimum 20 miles an hour at the moment. And I have a feeling that they're gusting up to about 30, which is certainly having an effect on the running bowl.
Yes, that one there from Copeland, for instance, sort 3 yards through. Very, very difficult conditions.
Staying out. It's got to be an inch perfect bowl to snatch this. Just going to fly away. And Steve Copeland, when he gets up there, will confirm that that's another double. Well, that's a gallop, if you like. From 9-12 down to 19-12 up. In the space of what, 2, 4, 6 ends.
And he's had to fight to stay in the game, Hugh, up to the halfway point, really. Copeland was playing the better of the two. He was happier with conditions. All of a sudden, Rigby's got hold of the game, but his lead there, it's all over the place.
Well, that's a tidy bowl from Steve Copeland. The left-hander from Royton. Rigby coming in, thumb peg. Not enough. And Steve, of course, being the left-hander, bowling finger peg. Needs to bend, and it's straightened up. Gone out.
Copeland, 1.
Well, at least that halted, if only temporarily, the gallop of Ian Rigby. Steve Copeland, who took out John Taylor in the first round. A very, very tight game that one was. 21-20.
I think in that game, Hugh, if I can, I'm pretty sure he went for this mark and then played along an edge in front of the public house here and built some good leads. He had a few breaks along that particular edge, and he's jockeying for it now, although his lead is well away.
No, that's not going to do Ian Rigby any good. Well, that's got more weight, but that's ducking away underneath. And has that got too much weight? Will it stay on the green? It will not. Oh, it's an easy single, surely.
Normally, yes. But the pressure's there, isn't it? He's a couple of points away from victory. His first bowl was a mess. Well, second looks good, Hugh.
The line is right. The weight is right. No bother. One good bowl out of 4. But it's enough to put the score on the line. 20-13, Ian Rigby. Good crowd here in sunshine at the Rakes Hall Hotel. The bottom here of Liverpool Road in Blackpool. Weight is right. But it's there to be beaten. Has it got the legs? Can it creep in? That'll do. That's the winner at the moment. And Ian Rigby needing 1 to get into the quarterfinals. His last chance on this particular mark. I think that stayed out. Mary Farmer, the referee, has a look.
Mary Ashcroft.
Mary Ashcroft, sorry.
You know, she may not make a decision on this. Oh, that's definite.
Positive. I'd have said it was stayed out. But at this moment, Ian Rigby is a winner. And he is a winner. If that blue bowl is counting, if the blue bowl Copeland accepts, then he's out. He has a look, might ask for a measure.
Rigby.
No hesitation, Steve Copeland, sportsman that he is, accepted after a long hard look that Rigby had scored another single. So Ian Rigby goes into the quarterfinals. 21-13, Steve Copeland is out.
Yes, Ian Rigby looking very good indeed once he'd stepped on the gas. Now, what about Tommy Johnstone? He'll be fancying his chances. Now Duncan's out. Young Paul Strutt, his second round opponent. Tommy in charge, 17-13, beginning to pull clear after a nip and tuck of a start. Tommy twice a losing finalist in the Bass. Paul Dad's Ken, also twice a losing finalist, so something in common at least. Commentators Roy Armstrong and Brian Brett.
Well, Tommy's been in the Bass on many occasions, from 1985 right through to last year when he lost first round to Jeremy Muff. Now then, Paul, first time in the Bass. Won his first game against Andy Tate, 21-19, terrific game. So he's no mug on the green, he knows his way around. Now, Tommy Johnstone, the sun comes out, shining on Johnstone as he tries to get this bowl running down, but not far enough. Angrily waves it on. It's pulled up short. Certainly one to Paul Strutt, who now needs to compose himself, just get a little bit of a grip, take his time, think about things. The wind is gusting, might take some running out of the bowl. Yep, only the one. Just wait for confirmations. Paul Strutt. Yep, Arthur Scowcroft, referee. 1 to yellow. So we're into the 24th end. Jack having been sent off, struck off once. And Paul Strutt under pressure. 14-17, but he has the jack, and he's picked out a very interesting little mark. It's a super mark, this one, Roy, isn't it? It's a very nice one if you get it right.
Yes, Paul's got it right there. He's playing about 35 yards, thumb peg. It's round peg, biased towards the ditch, coming to the fastest part of the green, and the ideal thing to do is exactly what Paul has done: play short and make your opponent pass.
Well, he's put more in this, Tommy, hasn't he? Is there a big difference in the bowls? Have you managed to sort them out?
Just a little difference, Brian. Yes, Tommy's bowls are his favourite composition bowls, £2 12 ounce. He's played these now for about 5 years, and Paul is playing with some £2 11 ounce Lignum Vita. So just a little difference in the bowls,
Yeah.
but not much difference in the running.
But he's got that absolutely right. I do think this is a nice bowling mark, because if he gets right up correctly onto the crown, it does appear that there is a bit of a trolley there to run down to the jack.
Yes, Tommy's asking how far they're off.
Yes.
He's considering whether or not to strike here.
Difficult, I would have thought, to get through and get contact on the jack. It may do a bit of damage on the bowls.
It's three objects.
Yeah. May just do a bit of damage, but he's bottom side and through and well fielded off Scowcroft. So he has left 2. So Paul Strutt, another 2, narrows it again. 16-17, Ken's smiling, the sun is out, he's enjoying the crack there with the crowd. He's been through it himself many a time. Good bowling family.
And the trick now, Brian, from this position where Paul is, to remember that wherever he goes from here, it's uphill, liable to be short if it's not careful.
Yes, I'm not sure about going down there. Roy, are you? Would you have picked out that one?
Well, I think his finger peg, his round peg, if he gets in here, he's going to come back again to the same position. So I think that's his plan. He's thinking 2 moves ahead.
Well,
which
he's
is fine.
positive, yeah, but if he doesn't get in at this end, then Johnson is ideally placed for the corner. But this is a good lead. Lovely, yeah. Oh, well, you may as well go for it now. He's got to play to his strengths and not worry too much about his opponent at this stage of the game.
That's right.
Now then, Johnson looks to have got it pretty right, doesn't he? Running down now, it might just with the peg, just pull away, possibly. They're waiting for the referee just to indicate who he feels is on, what distance. Paul Strutt is on, about a foot away from the jack. It's very nice to rest inside the Johnson bowl. It will now go down with the bias and swing. Not there. Now then, Tommy, it's 1 against you.
Yes, he's wondering what to do here. He doesn't want to strike too hard. He might knock his own out.
But a little bit of weight possibly, Roy, in which case he would then possibly lose the road. He's worked it all out. What's the result? What is the result? He's only done it. Excellent. Sorted that one out. Tommy Johnstone. 2, yeah. It's 2.
Yeah, that's much better than a strike, because the outcome, of course, is that he counts 2.
Well, here we are, Roy.
Full contact on the ball, pushes his out, his own stays in, 2 shots. Brilliant
Well,
ball, that.
it was
Absolutely
indeed,
perfect
wasn't it?
through ball.
And just a controlled running ball. He yarded. But as we said, Roy, he's now in a position to go top right corner.
Yes, I think the situation there was that Paul Strutt didn't get a second ball. If he'd have had 2 in,
Yes.
the whole thing would have been different. And he's been punished for it. Tommy's got a good one here.
Well, he's punished
Yard
twice
short.
now, yes. But again, the wind may be just eased at that point. Now then, Paul Strutt. Lovely sunny afternoon at the moment. Is he further? Is his line right? He's certainly further. Now whether it matters, Tommy Johnstone thinks he's on, but he's asking Arthur Scowcroft just to confirm. Yes. The blue disc bowl of Johnstone would appear at this stage to be on. This then, he's 19-16 with 1. Might just stick another one in if he can and life a game. He's holding 2. It's all against Paul Strutt. The game is against him. It's this to keep in the game, to keep in the competition, unless he can cut it down, and he can't, you know, because it's going to sail through and out, and they've weighed in. And we will have a handshake any moment now. Wait for Paul Strutt to arrive, but I feel sure he will accept the bad news, and that is that the blue bowls for Tommy Johnstone are in for 2. Just have another look. It's 19-16. Taking 1 out is 20-16. He's accepted the second. It's 21-16. And Tommy Johnstone, well, his odds are going to come down now because he's looking the part. He's looking the goods. He wins. Tommy Johnstone 21, Paul Strutt 16.
Certainly is looking the part. In fact, from the top half of the draw, he was your tip as opposed to Brian Duncan.
Yes, he was. I always fancied Tommy would do well, but he'll be, although he'll be sorry that his great hero Brian has gone out, he'll be inwardly pleased because he won't have to face him now.
Yes, major obstacles been removed.
That's right, and of course Andy Buckley's played so well today, hasn't he? Played absolutely brilliant.
What about Ian Rigby, a winner on this green last September in the TPA Championship? He knows it well.
Yes, he's impressed a lot of people, a lot of shrewd judges like Arthur Murray, who watches a lot of bowls. He's been very good, very steady, concentrated very well.
Mind you, Norman knew the green as well.
Yes.
Didn't do him much good.
No, Ian's got to beware of the wind, hasn't he?
Yeah, and the stickers on the side of the bowls as well.
Yeah, the stickers, yeah.
Let's have a confirmation of today's results. And of course, the one which dominates everything else, Roy, Brian going down. Not just the fact that he was beaten, the margin of defeat. I've never seen him play like that, and you've seen him play hundreds of times more than I have. Have you ever seen him quite as out of sorts as that?
I have seen him play bad, but I remember Brian Duncan's father Hughie always used to say that Brian doesn't do anything by halves. When he plays bad, he plays really bad. But as he said, Andy Buckley played really well and Brian didn't really challenge him. But
I was just about to say, statistically, 25 minutes and 42 seconds, 18 ends, the heaviest ever defeat in the Bass Masters. I mean, this will be talked about for quite a while, won't it, Roy?
I think that result and our pictures today will reverberate around the Crown Green world for the next 3 months. On the other hand, it'll give players a lot of heart to know that that can happen to such a great man as Brian Duncan.
Well, an incredible day, that's for sure. We'll have a new champion here unless Bob Crawshaw or Martin Gilpin win. Maybe it's going to be Andy Buckley, the conqueror of the legendary Brian Duncan. We'll be back tomorrow at 1:10 past 1.